Hello and welcome to the 12 Months to Marathon podcast with me, John Hill, the running podcast for the over 35s with marathon dreams. Episode 63, running goals versus running intentions. So what's going on with me at the moment? Well, just finished the Great North Run a couple of weeks ago. As we know, I've got a very favourite 10k of mine locally this weekend. With the best goodie bag in the business. And then High Rocks, 4 weeks today as I record this. High Rocks in Birmingham, which is my main focus. So I've been ramping up my training for that in terms of intensity. Feeling good, despite what my Garmin says, but we've talked about that. And we're on point. I think we're doing well. So we're going to keep on trucking and see how we get on. I wanted to do this one today because of some stuff on Instagram that I posted at 12 Months to Marathon. And one of the biggest things that I help people with or work with people on is not necessarily the mechanics of the running process. It's the feelings that we have about the running process and having a clear intention in our minds about what we actually want to get from the experience. Okay, because a question that I always ask people is, are you training for something or are you just running for the love of it? Yeah, because what I want to do is I want to gauge whether or not somebody's actually looking for a more focused outcome or whether someone's just doing it for the love of it. And all of it's okay, basically, as you should know. We should all know that whatever you want to do as a runner is entirely up to yourself. The problems arise, in my opinion, with this almost sense of obligation. And the obligation is that you have to do it a certain way, right? So, and I'll be honest, I've been caught up with this in the past as well, which is you have to go a certain distance or you have to run a certain pace. Now, this comes from comparison being the thief of joy, which I actually did a podcast on. One of my earliest podcasts actually in this series was about comparison being the thief of joy. And I think incorrect comparison is the thief of joy. I think some comparison is okay. I think it's normal. But you've got to make the right comparisons, really, because as I record this, we've just had the Berlin Marathon. And Sebastian Soare has just run the Berlin Marathon in 2:02 on the male side. And the reason why I quote him particularly was because somebody shared a picture of his splits. And his first 5K was 14 minutes and 9 seconds. I think the last 5K was 14:18, as I believe. Feel free to correct me on that one. But I know he's definitely, his first 5K was 14:09. That's fast. That's ridiculously fast. That's faster than I think again, don't quote me on this, but I think that's up there with the fastest park run time, or faster than the fastest 5k park run time in the UK. Yeah, but he did that as part of a marathon. So we're all slow compared to him, basically, because that's just ridiculously fast. And that's a performance athlete. So that's what I use as an example of comparison. Because if you're comparing yourself to him, well, we're all slow. So we should just chill out and get on with it. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about here. Firstly, I want to talk about something I may have I've spoken about before. But again, this is a moving target. And I'm conscious that we do get new listeners. So is the difference between a performance runner, yeah, and an enjoyment runner. Okay. You can be both. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So when I speak to somebody about running, what normally happens is they're either training for something specifically, or they just run for mental health, wellness, all that sort of stuff, fitness, whatever you want to call it, right? So they either fit generally into one of those two categories. What tends to happen with the enjoyment runner is potentially they then go on to be a performance runner. And what a performance runner is somebody that does events, races, whatever distance, and then wants to do better at those races. These are the definitions that I use. Okay, this is just my world, so these are not rules of thumb, by the way. These are just what I use. So, and it's important to get the distinction, I think, because I've had enjoyment runners criticize themselves for not performing at races when getting faster over a distance isn't their goal. Okay, and I know that because of the conversation I've had with them. So if somebody says, I want to do, like the Great North Run, which I've just done, really iconic event, big event, massive crowd, good atmosphere, something you'd want to go and experience, right? And I saw a post on Instagram about somebody who did a personal best in Berlin, and they said something quite powerful. They said, I was focused on the race. I wasn't looking at the crowd. I wasn't doing the high-fiving. I wasn't doing the smiling, that sort of stuff. And that's, these are questionable things, but actually they said I was all business. And I get that, because when I'm running a race and I'm going for a time, I'm pretty much all business. If I want to enjoy myself and I'm going at a pace that's comfortable, yes, I'll do the whole high five thing. Yes, I'll do the whole thing. And this is my point. Both of those things are fine. It depends on what your goals are, okay, which is the whole point of this podcast. And you have to be very clear on this if you want to preserve your mental health during the running process, okay? And this is really what we're trying to get to here. We're trying to get to a point where we protect runners' mental health, because if you get inside your own head, start making excessive comparisons, you're not clear on your goals or your intentions, you are going to quit, or you're not going to enjoy it. And whatever you do, whether you are somebody who runs park runs every week and does it at a pace that's conversational and wants to be sociable and all that, or whether you're somebody that's, pushing themselves to the absolute limit over marathon distance, it doesn't matter as long as you're achieving what you want. And what we want to do is make everybody feel comfortable and included and feel like they can do it, okay? And my advice there is to have a clear intention. Now, let me just caveat this a little bit with a bit of background. Now, those of you who've listened for a while or know me know that my background primarily comes in the fitness industry, personal training, losing weight, and also being a weight loss coach, okay? That was my first vocation when I entered into the fitness industry. And one of the biggest problems that people have, particularly in weight loss or losing weight or seeing their number reduce on a scale, to make this relevant, is they say they want to lose weight when they actually don't. They just want to be a bit fitter or feel a bit better about themselves. But they set this goal because everybody else does. They realise how hard it is to do consistently, and then it deflates them and they quit, or demotivates them and they quit. And we don't want that. It's the same with running. We don't want you ever to feel deflated or ever to feel like you need to quit because of metrics that aren't yours. Okay. So you need to understand, if you are an enjoyment runner and you want to do the odd race and enjoy the experience and not particularly care about your time, fantastic. If you want to be a performance runner and go out like the example I just said, or some of the people that I follow on Instagram who are just performing at a level that is, at the moment for me unattainable, great, do that. But the whole point is that you set your bar, and you set your bar based around you, and you don't use it as a stick to beat others with. And this is probably and I just had this conversation with somebody just as I record this, which is about, I like to talk about my accomplishments in running in the sense of, one, my age, and two, my background, okay? So I've done 2 sub-3 marathons after the age of 45. I'm quite proud of that based on where I've come from, and I want that to be an inspiration to people to know that marathons are possible when you hit your 30s and 40s and 50s, and yeah? The sub-3 is kind of irrelevant, but that just shows you what's possible, yeah? And for me, it's about showing you what's possible. Not you have to do that, or that's some sort of validation, or that's your thing. It's not, it's my thing. But it's to kind of open up people's potential and open up people's view of the world so they get curious and say, actually, that's possible for me, okay? If you want to do that. Now, and secondly, is my circumstances, because obviously I lost, 5 stone, 70 pounds, 30 odd kilos, whatever numbers you use, and I'm totally unhealthy, and I've changed to where I am now. So let's give you the point here. So the difference between intentions and goals, right? A goal is, I want to do a marathon in April 2026, and I want to run it in that time. That's a goal. That's a clear, defined numerical goal. Now, you could just set the goal of running the marathon, but usually when people say they just want to get round, they have got a number in their head of what would be acceptable to them. And as a bit of a tip, which I'll talk about this again, but I say this a lot to people. So here's the way I would advise everybody looks at their times for a particular race. I would have a content time, a happy time, and an ecstatic time. Okay. Your content time, let's use marathon as an example. Your content time is 5 hours. Your happy time is 4:45. Your ecstatic is 4:30. That's an example. So you've got 3 times. So you're not beating yourself up if you do your content time, but you've got a time to say, well, if I do that, I'll be jumping through hoops. And then you've got one in the middle as a happy time to give yourself a span to aim for. Yeah. So I want to run a marathon in April 2026 in this time. That's a goal. An intention on the other side is technically the same as a goal, but I think it's slightly different in the sense of your intention could be, I want to enjoy my running every week. I want to feel better after every run I do. That's an intention, because you can elicit that feeling, yeah? And it doesn't have to be a number to do that. You could run a mile and feel good after it. You could run 10 miles and feel good after it. There's a difference between an intention or a goal, and this is really important for your mental health, particularly if you're the type of person that I think this is more geared towards somebody who's an enjoyment runner but thinks they should be a performance runner. And there's nothing wrong with either. There's nothing good about either. There's no good or bad. There's no this. It's just what you want. And if you've got a clear intention to say, I want to enjoy my runs because I love it, brilliant. I know people who do loads of events, 10Ks, halves, parkrun every week, and run exactly the same time every week. That's fine. Because if your intention is to do that and you love it, knock yourself out. And don't let anybody, me included, ever tell you there's anything wrong with that. I wouldn't, because we need to get more people into running. And we need to get more people exploring what's possible for them. Because who knows where it could end up. But what we don't want to do is you don't want to enter into it thinking that it has to be a certain way. And this is part of my problem with what I talked about before about people criticising people online. Now, Sebastian Soire is not criticising people online. The guy who just broke the 100-kilometre world record at under 6 hours, 3:36-minute Ks, his name escapes me, sorry, he's not online calling people slow, is he? Because he's more focused on him, and you need to be focused on you. When I'm racing, I'm looking forwards, not backwards. I don't care who's walking at the back. That's up to them. My job is to do whatever I want to do and get my fulfillment from it, yeah? Not to bother anybody else. And if you're doing you and being you as a runner, do that. But understand the difference between intentions and goals. You don't have to be a performance runner. You don't have to run a certain time. You don't have to run a certain distance. There are no rules here. And the problem with comparison, when we go onto apps like Strava and we look down and we see all these things, it naturally feeds our urge to keep up with the Joneses, tribalism, and feel like we have to belong. And you don't. You can do whatever you want. There's somebody that I know on Instagram who's messaged me a few times who said they don't use any apps at all. Brilliant. And it has run marathons. Brilliant, if that's what they want to do. And that's one way of really cutting the head off the snake and saying, right, I'm just going to totally take myself off it. If that's what you want to do, great. If it's not, if you want to be apt up and compare yourself to other people, your peers, do that. As long as you're happy and it keeps you running and you're being inclusive. And what inclusivity is for me in running is making other people feel included and making other people feel like they can do it and they're supported and encouraged. That's it. And being a good human being is not difficult. In fact, being a good human being is the default setting. None of us are perfect. We are all flawed in our own ways. That's the point. We're all trying to make our way through life and adjust things and deal with things and other people and the distractions and all the stuff we've got going on. But being a good human being, stroke runner, is not complicated. It's the default setting. And you don't need to justify it. You don't need to explain it. You just need to do it. And if you do that, more people are going to want to get into running. Yeah. But if you're clear on what you want, then it will help other people to be more clear on what they want, because then you're not saying you should. You should. When I first lost weight 20 years ago, because I wasn't a coach and because I didn't understand any of this stuff, I was the you should guy. I'd walk into the office where I worked at the time and I was like, well, I've lost weight, you should. And that's the quickest way to turn people off, because nobody likes them more holier than thou. No one. People want to be supported and encouraged and allowed to do what they want in their own way. And if you haven't read the book Let Them yet by Mel Robbins, that's the premise of that book. Let them, so you can let yourself do what you want. So really important, intentions versus goals. Either are fine, a mix of the two are fine, but make sure that whatever you're doing is yours and it makes you feel good about the process. Because I promise you, if you feel good about running and yourself, you're winning. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If you feel good about it, you're winning, because we should all be doing it for the love. Yeah, it shouldn't be a punishment. I'm amazed at the amount of people who complain about running online. It should be something we do for the love, because if we love it, it's going to get more people into it. And with the health of people and with the numbers of, people with metabolic illnesses or things that can be fixed with lifestyle changes, running's a way to do that, irrespective of pace and irrespective of any of that. You get more people into running, we can help more people, and we can do that together. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that guides you in a different direction, and hopefully that it gives you some clarity on how to move forward yourself and get the best from your running. So as always, I really, really appreciate you listening. If you are brand new to the podcast, don't forget to subscribe on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts from. Please drop me a review on Apple or Spotify, particularly the star ratings, or drop a comment in below. That sort of stuff really, really helps me if this has vibed with you and it's the sort of thing that you want to hear. Please share this with your friends or your running friends. If anybody needs some support and encouragement, please share this with them. I do appreciate it. As always, Don't forget to head on over to Instagram at 12 Months to Marathon and follow me over there. And for your free daily content and tips. And if you are over 35 and you want to join my free online running community in school, you can go to the link in my bio at 12 Months to Marathon, click the link and I'll let you straight in. And that's a place where we can take us away from social media and share encouragement and inspiring stories. So yeah, hopefully that's helped you. I really, really appreciate every single one of you. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll speak to you all very soon indeed.